What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode 2 of season 2 of the War Room. Today you're with Coach Wrather, myself, and joining me is my co-host, Liam Carr.
What you know about that Aaron Ripkowski jersey?
Ball knowledge.
OU legend. Fullback. Green Bay Packer. Like 1 year.
Back when the game was pure. You know, I was out moving my brother today, and we had on the TV old Week 15 matchup, Brett Favre and the Packers versus Terrell Davis and John Elway. They were just running belly up the middle, and that was the guy just out there freaking blocking. But enough about history of football. You know, we got a pretty jam-packed show today. Liam's out here teasing who we got up. We got the NFC North preview. Before we jump into all that, we got some other fun segments of the show, Liam, don't we?
Yeah, we got some fun stuff. A little fantasy, a little just rumors, and a little bit of gossip. And then, Mason, are we going to talk NBA today?
You know, I think we're going to jump in a little bit because it's kind of been a crazy offseason. Some would say the craziest since 2019. So, without further ado, I say we just jump into it. I mean, this is the War Room presented by the Sideline Journal, where the film doesn't lie. Let's get to work. Into it. I mean,
yeah.
Kyle Pitts watch. Liam, what's going on with that?
Yeah, so there was a little bit of a trending video today that just, it might have gone under the radar, but we got to dig into it. Kyle Pitts was, it was after a little training camp, a little session, him working in the offseason, love to see it. He was asked by a reporter a question about fantasy football coming up. What do you have to say about all the managers that want to select you? And Kyle Pitts said, I don't know.
Doesn't inspire.
They just kind of looked off.
Doesn't inspire a lot of confidence.
No, I mean, we gotta dig that deeper, right? He didn't, like most people usually just say, pick me. I want to be him, something like that. Guy was given a softball, a lob to just grand slam it out into the outfield, and he said, I don't know. So, Mason, what is that? How do you feel about with the quarterback situation? There's some high draft picks from the Falcons in the skills position. Bijan Robinson is going to be like either 1 or 2 this year. Drake London has been like a top 10 wide receiver since he's been in the league, usually around that 10 area, but still top 10. And then Kyle Pitts, he's just been going up and up and up every single year. How do you feel with him saying that?
You know, I feel like he's being coy a little bit. He was just paid a ton of money. I'm not too old to remember in 2024 when I was a waiver wire fiend and got Jonnu Smith week 2, and he had 980 receiving yards with Tua because Tua likes to, not throw it farther down the field than 10 yards. And part of me is excited about the idea, fantasy-wise, for at least Bijan and Kyle Pitts, of all the targets they're going to get from Tua, Dinkin, and Duncan. My stock would go down on Drake London, but I think it's interesting that Kyle Pitts just gets paid major money and all he's got to be is like, I don't know.
My one thing on this is that, he just didn't have the confidence for the offense. And so when I'm picking players, I think a player that's like a second on a team that's just constantly on the field is a lot better than like a Kyle Pitts, Drake London, or Bijan Robinson that may be a 3 and out many a times. You're not scoring points if the defense is always out there. So that's just one worry I have, is that if they're always going 3 and out with Tua and Michael Penix at the quarterback, they just can't score points. So that's just one thing I'm worried about with them now, honestly.
I would say that 3 group of players, man, they're going to win. They're going to either win or lose leagues this year. And so I think that's why I wanted to bring them up. But you speak about confidence. Talk about someone that's so confident get out of a ticket. Dianna Russini body cam footage. We're going to roll the tape here real quick.
Yeah. Officer Bernal, would you please be recording my body camera? Can I just get your driver's license, registration, proof of insurance, please?
Put me with my phone.
Yeah.
So, you're not going to care. I'm an NFL reporter, and I just broke that Sean McDermott got fired from the Bills, and that is what I was just sending to send a tweet. I was going to pull over because I have to make calls.
Okay.
I know you don't care, but I'm just letting you know my reason why.
Okay.
It was a work thing, and it was an emergency.
But, I mean, come on. That was crazy. Cop straight up rolls up, and she's like, who's your coach? Kevin O'Connell? Here, let me get him for you real quick. I mean, it's wild stuff.
She folded under no pressure. I mean, she's an NFL insider. She lost all integrity immediately when the cop pulled up, just said license and registration. I mean, it was probably going to be like $100 ticket. And you immediately are just trying to get out of it, and you just lose all your secrets. Like, here's my text message with Kevin O'Connell. Isn't that wild? And so for me, just thinking about that is like, again, who else has she done this to? She has no integrity. Zero. And so just as a fan of the NFL, as a fan of a team in the NFL, actually I have part ownership of a team in the NFL. I want to see justice. Let's get an investigation into her. Who has she helped? Who has she not helped? I mean, just what's been leaked by her. So that's just, I'm very strong about this opinion. I don't think it's funny, hee hee, rumor, scandalous little affair. I think it's much deeper than that. So can we get something on that?
Yeah, and I'll take the serious route too. I mean, it's why a show like this exists that we have is because there's really a lot of just institutional rot with sports media, and this is the case in point. This is someone that was making $800,000 a year to take advantage of a very privileged position like this. She has the privilege of getting to speak and cover the game of football at the highest level with the highest people that are able to do it. And so, I mean,
Millions of dollars on the line every single day. Like, hundreds of millions. Look at the Dallas Cowboys.
and then you add in the whole sports gambling bubble to it as well from the
Yeah.
fan perspective. So I mean, it's wild. I think it's we're just going to see more and more, and it makes me honestly kind of worried for Mike Vrabel's job long term with the Patriots because this is a story that just isn't going away.
No, it can't. And so, I saw somebody that said she definitely just started talking because she was probably somewhere she wasn't supposed to be again, and she was just trying to get out of the ticket. But still using your secrets that, you're supposed to keep within yourself. I mean, imagine Adam Schefter just babbling out all the time his secrets. He wouldn't be where he's at. So, just not a fan of the situation. Mason.
What I will say though is I'm very thankful that the NFL insiders, Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport, are much better than Shams Karina for the NBA. Because dude, it is awful trying to follow that on Twitter and figure out what the heck's going on.
I know I miss Woj a little bit. Woj would have the details and everything very quickly, and Shams likes to tease you and part two of my tweets, to get more engagement. So, but hey, talking about Shams, Mason, NBA trades, we kind of teased it. Tell us what's been going on, maybe in NFL terms.
Yeah, we'll try to translate this in NFL terms for our NFL viewers. And I mean, right now, Peyton Manning's in free agency in the league. We have, LeBron James at his most tenured spot, the LA Lakers from 2018 to 2026. 8 years, longest tenure team in the league. Who would have thought that?
Crazy.
That's going to be a sports trivia bar. But he's going around touring the league, says he's interested in 12 to 14 teams. Reminds me a lot of when Peyton Manning left the Colts and he took visits to the Texans, to the Broncos. I think he even tripped it out to the 49ers. He tripped it out to the Falcons at one point. It seems like that's what LeBron James is doing right now. Age 42, Peyton Manning was 39. Does LeBron James have another ring in him, Liam?
Yeah, looking for he's ring chaser right now. And Peyton Manning, he went to the Broncos, and then what did he do? He had one of the best seasons he ever had, and one of the best offensive seasons in the NFL ever. So LeBron James looking to where he's going. I think it's like Golden State, Cleveland, and like just a couple hours ago, I saw the New York Knicks are now joined back into the talks. And so I've heard a lot of rumors of OKC looking for a guy on a vet min deal. And having a power forward, small forward like LeBron, I wouldn't really mind. I don't know how I'd like it in the core with like I like the young guys that we have, but yeah, just that LeBron to Peyton Manning, I think it's pretty similar to what they've done and what they're looking for. Not the exact same, but something pretty similar.
And something else that's pretty similar, we saw a 24-year-old get traded that maybe has a little bit of disgruntledness. Talk to us about the LaMelo Ball trade.
This one took some thinking. I was really pondering all of today, and so I thought the LaMelo Ball from the Charlotte Hornets to the Minnesota Timberwolves was like AJ Brown to the Eagles. Walk with me. The Hornets have constantly kind of struggled the entire time they've been a franchise. Finally have a young group around them. Finally looks like it's going up. They were in the playoffs, I believe. Like since in the year 2026, those Charlotte Hornets were phenomenal with LaMelo Ball leading it. And so you finally have a team together, and then what happens, Mason? What did the Titans do when they finally had a team? I believe they knocked off the Tampa Bay No, the New England Patriots. Tom Brady. They knocked them out of the playoffs in Foxborough, and then they had a nice little run, didn't make it, but then turn around, and then a couple years later you lose AJ Brown, goes to the Eagles for some reason. It was during the draft, right? And you see that video of Mike Vrabel just looking defeated and
Yeah.
frustrated. Why did we do that? Why did we trade our young wide receiver, very talented? And then just to make it more of a connection, I thought that Derrick Henry leaving was like Miles Bridges leaving right after as well. Like you just had a good team together, and for some reason you blew it up. I don't know why, but that was my connection there.
No, I think it's a really good comp because it's like you said, two small market teams that had a little bit of success and they trade to get out of it, and who knows what time will tell. Because glass half full version, I am a big fan of Brandon Miller and Colin Kneppel. I think that's a duo you can build and win around.
Yeah.
Free up some touches, but it's gonna look real bad if the Timberwolves make the finals just a year after a trade like this, which I could see happen. But another crazy trade happened that literally I don't think anybody saw happening. It was rumored forever. Jaylen Brown is now a Philadelphia 76er. The team that he blew a 3-1 lead to, he goes and joins them. The opposite of what KD did when he left OKC. And I look at it, man, and I think it just reminds me a lot of when the Rams and Lions swapped quarterbacks. Like, I'm not going to say that Paul George is going to win a ring immediately year one with the Celtics, but if you think about it, Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford was 36, Jared Goff was 28. Same ages between Jaylen Brown and Paul George. They both play the same position. They both have a similar skill set. It just goes back down to need and fit, and to take on the older, maybe less player. The Celtics are getting some draft capital back. So that's what I thought when I saw the Jaylen Brown trade.
Hey, and that's fair. It was really hard to find that Jaylen Brown one, and you came in clutch with that, thinking about that. Not exactly the same. Like, are we saying, like you said, is Paul George going to win a ring with the Celtics? I don't think so. He's not going to be the main reason if they do, but just something similar. I like it. I like it. I like it. Hey, moving on. Another big one, Kawhi Leonard is going home. This just kind of reminded me of a wide receiver in the NFL that's kind of been around, never seen the wide receiver's never seen true success. It's been Devontae Adams. I mean, I thought it was kind of like the reuniting with Rodgers in New York. Goes around the league, goes to the Raiders, always really good. Misses some playing time due to injuries, kind of like Kawhi, but he's always so good. I mean, Devontae Adams has led like the league in receiving touchdowns on 3 different teams, which is actually insane. Kawhi Leonard is everywhere he goes. It's just the same. You're gonna get the same thing, and he's just gonna get buckets. And so, going back to Toronto, I thought it was like Devontae Adams going back to New York. Are they gonna see success? I don't really understand it because I didn't think Toronto was in a position to win it if that's what he's looking for. But the East is really weak, so little NBA talk right there, Mason. And then what else do we have?
I think just like rapid fire, right? Like, what if Giannis ends up being like when Russell Wilson went to Denver? We loved it when it happened, but maybe it's not going to work out. And I mean, I think also, Tobias Harris is busy doing his biggest Kirk Cousins impression, just being a major bag mercenary. But I think you had one more comp of a trade that happened.
Yeah, last one, just real quick. I thought the Ja Morant from Memphis to Portland was kind of like Baker Mayfield. Now, walk with me again. College tape, very exciting. First year brought glory to a team that just historically sucked. And then you kind of get shunned for a few years. I mean, what happened to Ja Morant for the past couple of years? He's been in the NBA for like 7 or 8 years, and then ultimately gets let go, kind of just like makes his way out. Looks at a team on the rise, making waves. Baker Mayfield to the Bucks, Tom Brady left. The team was still pretty good, but can they manage? And then Ja Morant. The Trailblazers weren't bad last year in the West. They made the playoffs and were actually competitive. And so add Ja Morant with that team around him, not bad. And then you might want to talk about, well, hey, they have off the field issues. Let's not forget Baker Mayfield has had a little run-in with the law sometimes, but I thought that was a pretty good comp. And then, hey, we're just going to go into some weird facts, Mason. Did you know LaMelo Ball has been in the NBA longer than Trevor Lawrence has been a quarterback for the Jaguars?
That just does not sound right.
And then Jason Tatum has been a Celtic longer than Lamar Jackson has been a Raven. Which one of those do you think is like the weirder part? Jason Tatum or Lamar's on year 8?
Everyone on Twitter tells me Jason Tatum's still 18, so I mean that definitely it sounds the weirdest to me because he's still 18.
These are just little things that just shocked me. I couldn't believe it, but NBA does start out younger than football, but still, hey, it's
Hey,
been a little while.
so that is NBA in NFL terms. We hope y'all enjoyed something a little bit different, but we'll go ahead and after kind of looking at all that, we'll go back to what we kind of love about the game of football because at the end of the day, the game of football, we got 17 games that mean everything. We're not always going to have the drama that the NBA will have, but it's sometimes nice to see the differences between sports. And so now
Yeah.
we'll go ahead into the show where what we do is we're going to do our official NFC North preview. And I think Liam has got, his favorite team is the one that we're going to talk up first, and it's going to be the Green Bay Packers. And I know for me, my first really, thought when I think of the Packers is the fact that there's been too much business between my Cowboys and the Packers lately. We're trading Micah Parsons back and forth. We can't decide who's going to win a football game or not. We got to tie it 40-40, and then we're going to go take Rashawn Gary back in another trade and Kenny Clark. And so I think the Packers' outlook this year is going to be interesting, Liam. I think you've got a really good point about their wide receiver room. It's a make or break type of year because there was no clarity last year with the wide receiver by committee, but this year I think there is some clarity. They went and got rid of Dontavian Wicks, they let Romeo Doubs walk, and now they've got a three-headed monster of Matthew Golden, Christian Watson, and Jaden Reed. That Tucker Kraft guy's coming back healthy, and ultimately I think it goes back to I think your biggest thing that you hate. Will Matt LaFleur release the training wheels off of Jordan Love and let him take the offense? So am I kind of right on that? Liam, what are you seeing with your hometown team in Titletown?
Man, I think you hit on the head. I was surprised about that wide receiver ball knowledge. You hit all of them on the head. I can't believe it. But yeah, I think to start off, for me, it's just frustrating as a Packer fan for Jordan Love, who has a basically a $55 million a year contract, playing like he is only on like a minimum contract, like 20 million. If we're gonna pay him 50 some million a year, can we let him just throw the pigskin around, just get let loose, let air raid offense if that's what we want to do? If not, why do we pay him that much money? We could have gotten, a better line and a running back to run the ball more if that's what we want. Can we make a decision with what we want? Because for me, as a Packer fan, you know, I think he's got it. I absolutely love Jordan Love. I think he can be a gunslinger. I mean, he has the fastest thrown pass in NFL history. Since they started recording that, it hasn't been that long ago, but since they've been recording it, he's thrown the fastest ball ever. And then he makes stupid decisions, but I'm gonna live with them because that's the life of a gunslinger. Kind of used to it, but I like it. And so if we're gonna, like I said, if we're gonna pay him this much, let's let him just air it out. And so the wide receiver room, I like it more where it's condensed and we got Christian Watson, Matthew Golden, and Jaden Reed. Those are the guys. Because last year it was like there was no identity. And I like wide receiver room by committee, but having like that confirmed top three makes me feel a little bit better. Some people say Christian Watson was an overpay. Let's go back to the history because we drafted him high, expect him to be the number one guy. He does not do it, plagued with injuries. On his last year, we re-signed him for a 1-year, $10 million deal. Basically just a year of saying, prove it. Can you do it? Last year, we were very pleased with his performance. So we paid him as a top wide receiver. The market might be extremely screwed right now, but we had to respect it. And so I'm looking forward to that. I think Matthew Golden is the guy. I didn't think he had enough ability to shine last year with the room. But then also, for some reason, Matt LaFleur just absolutely hated him. I mean, I remember when we drafted him in the first round, I was like, if I see him out there returning punts week one, I'm going to scream. And sure enough, that's what we did. Why draft him first overall? And then I think we got to be a team that I'm fine if the tight end is actually the wide receiver one, because I think Tucker Kraft is that guy. I'm hoping that the NFL starts to find out about him because I think he was about to blow up last year and then he has an injury. But he is that guy. And so we have some questions with the running back room because if Josh Jacobs can't play, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? We literally don't have a running back right now then because Marshawn Lloyd is injured every single snap. So that's just the offense and the defense. I am okay for the first 4 weeks without Micah Parsons. I'm hearing that he might come back at 8 weeks, which would absolutely suck. But if we can do 4 weeks without him, I really trust the young guys with Ed Oliver, Brian Sorrell, Lucas Van Ness, and our new guy Danny Sutton. Forgot his name, but the guy out of Penn State that we got in like the fourth round. So I'm okay with those guys. We got a cornerback with Brandon Siss. Keyshawn Nixon is not that guy. If he was the cornerback too, I'd feel better. So that our Siss guy from South Carolina, I think, has to come up big. I think he will. And then just my last thing here is that we have the best safety room in the league, and I'll debate that with anybody. Xavier McKinney is absolutely insane. He can play center field, and it's horrible for any other quarterback. Evan Williams is a great I don't know how I would put him free safety, but he can hit anybody. And then Javon Bullard is a strong safety. He can play nickel, and he is so dangerous. And they can play everything. They can do everything. Our safety room, I'd put that we have three guys that can play anywhere on the field, and so that's why I think that we have the best safety room in the league, and I think that should be noted. And that's all I have.
Yeah, I think you made some really great points there. To be honest, you need to breathe a little bit. I think you dropped almost too much ball knowledge in a short amount of time.
You could
Feels
tell I'm very
good.
passionate.
Feels good. And I mean, you have a reason to be passionate. I think you got a reason to root for this year because, I mean, also they brought in Jonathan Gannon to be the new DC. I think that, him leading an Eagles defense to the Super Bowl proves that, hey, there's some coaching chops there. Maybe not head coaching chops, but at the coordinator level. I just go back to what I think is my most concerning thing that I think will define their season or not, whether they'll win the NFC North, get to the playoffs, maybe win a Super Bowl or not, is that offensive line. Because I think it is something that where the sum is greater than the parts, which every O-line is, and it's schemed around their deficiencies. Because I don't believe in Jordan Morgan as a starting blindside tackle. I just don't. I worry about Zach Tom's health, and then the interior of the offensive line is just really Anthony Belton, Aaron Banks, I want more out of my guards. Like, especially with the power scheme y'all run, pulling gap, pulling power, counter, running dart with Josh Jacobs, trying to thump, which is what y'all try to do. It worries me just a little bit. And I can just see a world where Jordan Love takes 40 QB hits, 27 sacks throughout the season, and Matt LaFleur regresses and wants to just run the football only. So I think that is honestly going to be what makes or breaks the season is that offensive line. But what...
You notice how I talked about pretty much everybody except the offensive line because, I'm going to be honest, I'm with you there. It does worry me.
So, I mean...
Aaron Banks, holy cow, holy overpay.
Wholly overpay, but I think that's why Vegas has a really good win total on him, right?
Yeah, Packers are sitting there, 10.5 wins on the season, which I think that we have some easy teams to play. We have, I think the NFC North drew a pretty easier side of those
which
out of division.
They
opponents.
need it because they have to play each other. So
yeah, and the NFC North, pretty much everybody has a over/under of a winning record, and so once we go through the season, I'm gonna keep track of all the other divisions that have that because I think that's absolutely insane. There's nobody under 7.5 wins, which I think is kind of crazy.
yeah, so we'll give our official record prediction when we do the full NFC's preview. I just wanted to dribble that out now because I think it's going to be really interesting where the Packers end up. If we miss something in our coverage of the Packers, please drop your take below. We love the Packers fans that come and join and tell us we don't know anything about football. It's always my favorite. Y'all are really active in our comment section, and we appreciate it. But I want to turn the page, Liam, to maybe your most bitter rival in the Chicago Bears because the Chicago Bears had an amazing, almost Cinderella-type run last season. First-year head coach. They go get him the hotshot coordinator from the Lions. They have an exciting offense. They have a good run game. They think they found their franchise quarterback. They have some amazing 8 one-score, 2-minute or less wins that get them into the playoffs. It's exciting. It's new. But then after the season's over, you start to look at the roster and you start to realize, oh, they actually had a lot of help. A lot of teams were hurt. They had a lot of miracle comeback wins. Then the quarterback of their offensive line, Drew Dahlman, he retires. They lose Kevin Byard. They lose Jaquan Brisker at safety. They didn't really have a pass rush. They didn't really address it, through the draft. So, Liam, what are you making of the Bears offseason, and where do they kind of fit inside of the NFC North?
I can't deny that, the Bears they were very good last year. Ben Johnson came in swinging a hot bat with the offense. He did what we thought he was going to do, and he whooped us. And then the defense, they have a solid secondary, but like you said, they haven't really addressed that the edge rushing and especially just that D line. I think that's kind of lacking. But the Bears, you know their wide receiver room, they lost DJ Moore, but how much of a loss was that? I would love to hear what Bears fans have to say, especially after that last stint that they had in the playoffs
Are you
where
saying
was he
it's
really
like
running?
addition by subtraction almost?
Yeah, maybe. I would like to hear what Bears fans have to say about that. I hope we reach that target audience, but I'm sure they're excited for that Rome Odunze, Luther Burden III, duo with Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson now. I think they'll honestly be fine. They have a good tight end room too. And so let Ben Johnson cook with a little 12 or 13 personnel. And then I just want to highlight, I know they have DeAndre Swift, but Kyle Monangai, a little sleeper of a year last year. I know the fantasy guys know him. He was a great waiver wire pickup. Um, but I think he had a really good sneaky year. I want to highlight that. And I think he can really go up. And by the end of the year, he could maybe take DeAndre Swift's chain as running back one. But I don't know if I answered your question, Mason, but that was just kind of my breakdown of the offense.
Yeah,
But
no.
yeah, I'll say that they had 8 wins in one score games last year. That's almost half a season. I'm not a Debbie Downer, but it's just like we just see it as history. I mean, look at the Chiefs. There was like that one year they were like 11-0 in one score games. And then the next year, I think there were something like 2-7 or 2-8.
The
And
Vikings, they went 13-4 one year. The
yeah,
next year they're 7-10.
the
So,
Commanders, like 2 years ago. I
yeah.
mean, this year they had a lot of injuries, but still, just you're due for regression. If you're going to win all those games with one score, the next year it's not going to be like that. So, um, the over/under is at 9.5 for the Bears. I think that's fair, Mason. I think you have some more that you want to talk about, though. O line.
Well, yeah, I was just gonna say like our conversation with the Bears because I mean I think a lot of people maybe after our last NFC East, which I'm gonna plug that because I think it was a really good episode. You could tap the card in the top right corner, plug that to go watch. But I think a lot of people maybe took some of what we're saying out of context. We're trying to look like objectively at this team. And we know that 7 of the 14 teams that made the playoffs last year across both conferences won't make it again this year. It changes. That is the average the past 10 years of the NFL. And I look at the Bears as a real regression candidate because of the 8 score or the 8-1 score wins. But I also look at the offensive line. Ozzy Trapayo was a really good young rookie tackle, and he's coming off a big injury. Your stalwart 26-year-old superstar center retired. You go and replace him with Garrett Bradbury. You need Darnell Wright to hold up. And I think that you can scheme around it. I just worry a little bit about that. And I worry about Caleb Williams' development because Caleb Williams, yes, he was really flashy. Yes, he's the Madden cover athlete. He still didn't have 4,000 yards. He completed under 60% of his passes. He was top 5 in turnover-worthy plays from the quarterback position. And luck, eventually it's going to run out. You always, statistically, there's something called regression to the mean. And that is so true in the game of football. And that's why, the coachism is if you block well and tackle well and don't turn over the football, you'll probably win the football game because if you do those things well, it adds up to wins. And I think they played with fire a lot last year, and I don't think they can get away with it this year. And so I think to your point, highlighting Kyle Monangai, I think he's going to be a big X factor for him. But I think what's going to define their season is the way Ben Johnson's talking about Luther Burden, talking about buy stock in him now, that this guy's going to be like Amon-Ra St. Brown, if he comes out and has like a 1,500 yard, 18 touchdown type season, this is a playoff team. Just saying it.
Yeah, I can't deny that. The Bears are good. They got a great, starting for the top down, it's been getting better. And then Ben Johnson's just that guy. We talked about regression, but they're still going to be good. That wide receiver room, that duo right there. And then especially with Luther Burden, you got to love it. And then Colson Loveland and Cole Kmet. I'm a huge Cole Kmet fan. his sister is married to Lucas Van Ness for the Packers. So, but Cole Kmet's been that guy, and they drafted Colson Loveland. I didn't really understand that, but then hey, you got a good 12 personnel right there. Fantastic 12 personnel. Um, they definitely have it, but my only question would be Caleb Williams. I mean, you have the Madden curse here. When I'm looking at Caleb Williams, it's just he can never stay in the pocket and make the throw. He always has to roll out. And so I'm just wondering how much does that hurt Ben Johnson's scheming, especially going to next year? Because, you do it once. Rookies always have that spark, and then there's like decline. And people always wonder why, what happened. The tape gets out, the film gets out, people learn, people study, the coaches go through it, they see like, oh, your tendencies, and then, the next year they have you covered. You can't do what you used to do. You got to grow. Caleb Williams has to grow this year. The Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams was a match made in heaven that last year. Um, you know, Extremely talented, athletic, can do anything, but can he stay in the pocket, set up, and just make a good throw? Because I know he's one of the worst in the pocket in the NFL. Outside the pocket, he's fantastic, phenomenal. I hate it when he starts rolling.
It's the off-script plays. That is where he's special. The question is, since we were talking about the NBA, can he go and play point guard in that offense? Because that's what Ben Johnson wants. And I think he's got all the natural talent in the world. I think anybody that looks at him knows he's a top 5 talent at the position. It's just, can he actually settle in and play an NFL offense? And I think between that, what sort of pass rush shows up, how Dylan Thieneman fits into that defense, and then if Luther Burden explodes or not, that is going to be what defines if they hit the over or under on that win total. So Bears fans, as always, go to war with the Packers fans in the comments. Let us know what you think about your place in the NFC North. And kind of turning the page, Liam, we got the Dianna Russini Vikings, the Minnesota Vikings, man. Where do you see them going with their offseason and where they fit in this picture?
I'll say that I think the Vikings will be fun this year. Vikings fans, especially after last year. I think you have a good amount to look forward to on Sundays of enjoyment. I don't think that the Kyler Murray led Viking offense is going to be true success, sustainable success, like lasting. I just can't picture Kyler Murray being the quarterback in like the year, like 2029 is weird for me to see Kyler Murray still the Vikings quarterback. I don't know if it's going to last that long. I'm being honest. He's an athletic quarterback. He's fantastic. He's great. I like him. He's from, I watched him at Oklahoma. I've been watching him forever. But just what he's done with the Cardinals, like how long can Kevin O'Connell stay with Kyler? How long is Kyler Murray going to let Kevin O'Connell be the head coach of the Vikings? I think he's fantastic and he should stay there. But what are we going to see? Are the Vikings going to blow up just after 2 years of the same thing? That's my honest take. I think they're going to be fun. Look, I'm a Packer fan saying that about the Vikings, but I don't really want to play them. I hate playing Kyler Murray because again, we have now 2 scramble quarterbacks in the NFC North. That's awful, and so. They got Justin Jefferson. They got a fantastic passing game, and then the run game is pretty good too. The O-line is fine. The defense is good. So, the Vikings are a threat, but I just still don't think that they're going to like playoff success and then march into the playoffs and make space and go far. I just don't see that.
And I see your point. My deal is like, I just remember that this was a team that found a way to win 9 games with J.J. McCarthy and Max Brosmer taking snaps at QB. Truthfully. And I think that they really improved their team. Because why I'm going to be maybe a little higher on them than you is just because I love what they did in the NFL draft. And it's maybe they reached on Caleb Banks, but man, as far as potential goes, there's nobody that's got higher potential at the defensive line position than Caleb Banks. They went and got younger. I love that they went and got off of Jonathan Grenard and traded him. And the guy they got to replace him, I was super high on him, way higher than a lot of people. He was 41st on my draft board. I kind of wanted the Cowboys to draft him in the first round if we didn't get Caleb Downs. Jake Gallday out of Cincinnati, I'm telling you, in that Brian Flores defense, he is somebody that is going to be a game record that's going to show up, because this is a guy that was like Brian Urlacher in college. He was originally a defensive end, but he was way too fast. He kept getting bigger, and they moved him back. They moved him back to play off-ball linebacker. And if you know about Brian Flores' defense, he's going to have 9 people on the line, and you're not going to know who's coming and who's not. And
Absolutely
I just think adding him to sending Dallas Turner, Andrew Van Ginkel, Caleb Banks, I see the pieces for Brian Flores to have a much better defense. And I think that's what's going to be interesting with this team. I think they're going to be a very more tilted, defensive-leaning team, even though Kevin O'Connell is, the offensive-minded head coach, because like you said, can we really see Kyler Murray in 2026? His last good year was like 2022, 4 years removed from that, really go the full distance of 17 games playing winning football. Right now, even as an OU fan, it's hard to see. I also look at the health of the offensive line. Christian Darrisaw, top 5 tackle when healthy, hasn't been healthy the past couple years, and when he's not healthy, that O-line is like suicide watching. Brian O'Neill, Will Fries, 2 indie guys, man, they got to really step it up and get healthy. And so, I think, to me, Liam, that's where I see the, interesting parts with the Vikings is really where the young guys go on defense, Brian Flores, and where does this offensive line go with Kyler Murray at quarterback.
For sure. And then to address the defense, they could have 11 Boy Scouts out there on defense with Brian Flores as coach, and, you'd see some stops out there. He's just so good with disguising the blitzes and disguising if they're in a zone or a man. You can't tell until you snap it, and by then it's too late. Having him as a defensive coordinator in the NFC North, I absolutely hate. I remember during the offseason when there was potential that he might be the top prospect for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I was hoping and praying that might happen because he'd be out of the NFC North, and he stayed, and so that made me incredibly upset. But yeah, they definitely have some dogs back there. And then on the offensive side with Kyler Murray, is this his best receiver room? Trey McBride was fantastic, but he never even looked Trey McBride's way. The Trey McBride truthers loved seeing him out because then Jacoby or Joshua Dobbs would come in, and then, all of a sudden he'd have like 20 to 30 points a week. And so is this the best wide receiver room that he has now with Justin Jefferson? He is like usually the number 1 wide receiver. Last year had a big drop. Jordan Addison, great wide receiver too. And let's not forget, I forgot this would happen, but Jaquan Jennings from the 49ers is there now. Tall guy, very lengthy wide receiver. He's 6'3", 212, but he can stretch the field. He's great with the deep balls, but he can do anything in between. Huge fan of him. So having that as your 1, 2, 3, and then TJ Hawkinson as your tight end, Kyler Murray, with Kevin O'Connell as your coach, the quarterback whisperer, starting off week 1, because he's going to be the starting quarterback week 1, Kyler Murray. There's no way he is not with J.J. McCarthy and Carson Wentz in that quarterback room. Kyler Murray has to be in. If you don't see success by week 8, there's definitely a problem, and it's not on Kevin O'Connell or the wide receivers. So.
Yeah, and I just think that their over-under 8.5 is a really good one, because I think that accounts for if they have similar play at quarterback like they had last year, this is probably another 7-8 win team. But is Kyler Murray going to turn back the clock with Kevin O'Connell? And if they do, this might be a 10-11 win team. So Vikings fans, we would love to hear from you in the comments of if you think that Kyler Murray is going to end up being your franchise quarterback, or do you still believe in 9 as your franchise QB? We'd love to hear from you. But now turn into what I think Vegas odds makers have as the favorites in the NFC North, Liam, the Detroit Lions.
Man, the Lions have been a thorn in my side for like 6 years now. It's getting pretty annoying. But they deserve it, though. Dan Campbell's gotten a great team around him. The offense is absolutely insane most of the time, and the defense. We all go back to like 2 or 3 years ago, was it? Time's moving so fast, where when they were just injured, everybody was getting injured, but they were still dominating next man up. That's just an underdog story everybody likes. But going into this year, they're all pretty much healthy now. There's no questions with that. They've kind of somewhat improved, like some of those holes that they've been some of the problems that they've been having, they've addressed. We just saw with their cornerback, I'll bring up the Arnold guy, first round pick from like 2 years ago. He's probably not going to be coming back, so they got to address that now. But I mean, when you have a guy with like Jahmyr Gibbs on your team, it has to be pretty much, always kind of there that you're going to have a good season. I mean, I don't care about mileage on running backs' legs. When you have a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs, don't conserve it, please, and like try to have a long career. I want to see him just have the rock twice, opening every single drive, run it through him twice. Run up the middle, run outside, run up the middle, screen. Just you got to do something with him. I think he can be that guy this year. Pair that with Amon-Ra St. Brown. You got two weapons right there that are absolutely insane. And the Lions offense should be good with Jared Goff, who usually plays very smart. Every now and then he has that 5 interception game, but most of the time, pretty conservative ball. So Lions, Mason, I know you got more with them, but
Yeah.
10.5 wins, I can't hate that.
I think that's a very fair line, and I mean, as a now third-year dynasty owner of Jahmyr Gibbs, I am hoping and praying that that's exactly what happens, is that they just feed him the rock. And I mean, I just look at the Lions, and it's every year I have to talk myself out of not making them my Super Bowl pick, because they truthfully have you can make an argument for one of the most talented rosters in the league, top to bottom. They've stacked really good draft classes. They've built foundational pieces. The question is they kind of did a remake of their offensive line this offseason. They went and got Penei Sewell, who's been an all-pro right tackle, moved him back to his natural side from college, the left side. They went and got a tackle that I loved in gap scheme, which is what they love to run. They love to pound the football, even though they got Sonic back there. They got Blake Miller to go be at right tackle in the first round. I love that. They went and got Cade Mays, a starter from the Panthers, to replace another retirement at center. They got Tate Rutledge and Christian Mahogany, two young guards I like. They've got a good young scrappy O-line. Sam Laporta is coming back healthy. That opens up a ton on the offense. So I don't think there's any questions about this offense being a top 5 unit. Where their season is going to be defined is what the heck happens on the defensive side of the ball. And to me, they've got the talent. It's because of health and injuries. Aleem McNeil is a top 10 interior defensive lineman. No one talks about him. The dude is good at football. Aiden Hutchinson, can he stay healthy? Can he still produce like he has? And then they're going to get 2 Pro Bowl to All-Pro safeties back in Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph. They went and got Roger McCreary, a good nickel back from the Rams. They have DJ Reed. Can he continue to have his New York Jets form? And then Rock Ya-Sin. He was a mid-round pick that had a good start to his career with the Raiders. And they went and got kind of a corner I like out of Arizona State, Keith Abney, in the draft. So they've got young pieces in place. They've got a good nucleus on defense. They've got it on offense. How healthy are they going to be? What is the game clock situation management going to be with Dan Campbell? And how is Kelvin Shepard going to call plays on defense? To me, that's where I think this season's going to be defined for the Lions.
Yeah, bringing up Shepard, I mean, that, the coaching is a big part of it, because 2 years ago, Aaron Glenn, Ben Johnson, some of the best offensive coordinator and defensive coordinators in the league, and look, they got immediate head coaching jobs as soon as the season ended. And so the start of last year, what happened? Had 2 guys that they didn't really like, and both of them are gone now, right? I believe, or at least the offensive coordinator is gone. Dan Campbell was like, "Give me that. Don't you ever touch that playing sheet ever again." And so, the coaching was a big part, I think, last year. It was just so different, maybe, from some of the returning players for offense and defense, because you could definitely see it with the players. But this year, let's get into the same system. Let's start working. Let's go back to our roots. The Lions maybe already had their regression year, and that was last year, and they're going to go right back to it, and they're going to be a team with like 12 minimum wins, 14 some wins. I would absolutely hate that, but this is a team that can do it. For me, it's like the Bears have questions, especially with that quarterback spot. Caleb Williams, it always rides with the quarterback. Can he do it? And then the Vikings, same thing. I think the Lions have the Jared Goff who can play smart. We just saw Sam Darnold win a Super Bowl. You don't need to be athletically gifted to win. You just got to play smart when it matters. Don't turn the ball over, and just get your team doing the small things consecutively, consistently. And then you got Jahmyr Gibbs, who for me is my number one pick of fantasy football this year, and it's by a long, not a long shot. Brian Robinson's that guy too, but Jahmyr Gibbs is that guy. I'm on Ross St. Brown. I think Isaac Tesla is fantastic. At one point last year he had like 6 catches and 6 touchdowns,
Yeah.
which that has to be some sort of record. And then Jameson Williams, just absolute speed out there. So,
And I
and
mean,
then their tight end
I was gonna say
is.
like, yeah, you go, you finish the tight end
I
room.
was just gonna say, at the Sideline Journal we like to talk about 13 personnel. Sam Laporta, Brock Wright, and then Tyler Conklin. Not bad. That's a great 13. You got your catching tight end, and then you got your blocking tight end, and then the guy that can do it both. Um,
Pretty
with a team
nicey.
like this, and don't forget Isaiah Pacheco as the running back too. If he gets LASIK and he can see where the difference between the backs of his offensive line to a gap, he could be really dangerous. So, um,
Oh man.
kind of keeping with Sonic and Knuckles though, that was a pretty good pickup. What did you have to say?
I was just gonna say too, at least defensively as well, something I didn't even really highlight. Jack Campbell, their first round All Pro off ball linebacker, got extended this offseason. Derek Barnes and Malcolm Rodriguez, that is a really good mid. Like I just look at all levels of this team. The talent's not the question. To me, it is the health of the team and how do the coordinators settle into their roles? Because Dan Campbell operates his best as being the CEO type, managing the game, providing input on both sides. Like that is his mold as a coach. Drew Petzing was the OC for the Cardinals. They run a similar style offense. I like the hire, even though it was a little bit lambasted. It's a comfort level thing for Dan Campbell, which I think is the most important thing that they need. Is Dan Campbell feeling comfortable so that way he can do what he does best, which is risk it when it's necessary. And I think that to me is what the Lions offseason slash preview snapshot is in a look. So Lions fans, drop your take just like the other three. We want to see a war between the NFC North to let us know if we were right or wrong about your team and what we missed. But now, Liam, I think it's the moment of truth, the actual predictions of how this division is going to shake out.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one for sure. I mean, I can see Packers, Bears, Lions. No offense to the rest of the NFC. It's been like this for the past like 3 years though, where it's all winning. We at least always have three that are fighting for a spot, and so it's gonna come down to those tiebreaker games. I mean, I think it's mainly later in the season when we see everybody this year. Last year was pretty early on, but this year. Um, Yeah, it's all pretty much later in the season, so kind of worried about that. Those games when everybody's a little tired, injured, cold, it's going to mean a lot more. So um, I'm thinking like Mason, do you have it pulled up?
I do. I We'll go ahead and just list it out for the way that we see it happening. And this was our way too early season prediction. This could change in any sort of way, but how the tiebreakers kind of worked out is we have the Packers winning the division at 10-7. We have the Bears at the second seed making the playoffs as the seventh seed at 10-7. We have the Lions somehow missing it at 10-7, and we have the Vikings finishing fourth at 9-8. So look at that. Y'all can't get mad at us. We have all of you with a winning season. It's just going to come down to the final 5 weeks, the stretch part of your season, the gut check part. Who's going to pull away and win the game that matters that gets them into the playoffs? Yeah, so with that, guys, that is our official prediction for the NFC. I feel like we did a lot. We covered a lot of ground in this in a pretty quick time. I mean, we went from fantasy to looking at the NBA to giving you a full rundown of one of the most chaotic, historic divisions in the NFL. I mean, come on, we're wearing a fullback jersey of a guy that played for one of these teams just because that's how important they are.
Yeah, here at the Sideline Journal, we like to be efficient with our time. We're not going to have any stupid topics debating about. We're not going to get flamboyant with our stupid opinions elsewhere. Just going to get you the facts, what you need to know. Debate a little bit. Let us know in the comments what do you think. And, me and Mason love responding to them. Last week they said those two Cowboys fans. I should have known what I was getting into when I saw two Cowboys fans, Mason. That kind of hurt me. I don't know if it hurt you, but we love to see it.
I can't say anything as being part of Cowboys fandom. I'll be the first to tell you we're one of the worst fan bases across all sports. I'd put us up there with Yankees and Lakers fans. We're terrible. But
Those are usually the big three, right? That everybody likes.
Those are the big three.
I
But
see that on all the time.
I found out in 2015 when I watched this freaking sign Greg Hardy and Tony Romo broke his collarbone twice, and we went 4-12, and I watched every dang game that I was a true fan. It's just the way it is. But we really appreciate all the support from the last episode. It was great. We crossed a major milestone for the channel, 500 subscribers. That's freaking crazy. We're just two guys from the great state of Oklahoma that like to watch football and talk about it. So we appreciate you guys riding with us. We're going to keep this thing pushing and going through the season. And we hope you continue to look out for us. And I think next week we're staying in the NFC and looking at the NFC South.
Slept on division, high on the Panthers last year. One of the reasons we started this was so that we can document our takes. Hey, appreciate you Panthers. You guys see who we think is going to be the one next year.
Yeah, so be on the lookout for that. That'll be up similar time next week. But we appreciate you guys. We hope you all enjoy the 250th birthday of our country. Have a happy 4th of July. Pour one out for us, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Peace out. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the WARROOM podcast presented by the Sideline Journal. If you haven't yet, check out last week's video with an NFC East preview and subscribe to the channel. We look at our analytics. We have over 70% of our viewers are not subscribed yet. We really appreciate y'all helping us get to our goal of 1,000 subscribers by the end of next year. Anyways, we appreciate all the support, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Peace out, guys.